All right, welcome back, everyone. This is Ebony again, aka Fit Mom Diva of Simplicity Health Style, and today we have Miss Erica with us. How are you, Erica?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm amazing. Thank you so much for taking time to speak with us today. You guys, Erica's a little bit under the weather today, so I would so appreciate it if you stuck around and give her some encouragement. And for doing so, you'll have an opportunity to earn a complimentary gift at the end if you choose to stick around and see what Miss Erica wants to share with us today. So, Erica, to start us off so we get to know a little bit more about you, can you start us off by sharing a motivational quote, something that inspires you, encourages you, and gets you going in those moments where you don't actually feel your best?
Sure. So I recently heard this quote from one of my coworkers. I think in my job setting, I'm surrounded by very caring people, people that I really like being around. So he shared it with me. He said, "Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good."
Awesome. And a lot of times in our work environments, particularly, we are not necessarily surrounded by people that are uplifting. Even sometimes when we enjoy the work, sometimes it's important to be around people that are also uplifting and caring because that could be very draining. It's like, you love what you do, but if you have to spend 8 hours a day or however many hours a day being around people that drain your energy, it can kind of suck out some of your creativity too and the work that you do. Can you talk a little bit about that quote in relation to a time in your life where maybe you weren't surrounded by the best positive people? Maybe you had a lot of obstacles that you had to overcome and unforeseen circumstances, and you were working hard to get to this particular goal or this particular endeavor. And you didn't know if you were even going to make it. But at the end of the day, you were able to bring that goal to fruition.
Mhm. I think even in what I'm currently going through, I just moved to a new place. I have a very small support system here. And I think me being the person that I am, I want things to be perfect on the first shot. I feel like I'm working hard. This should work. This should be perfect enough for everyone. So I think this quote really just tells me to calm down and work your hardest that you can so that you can come up with something that's good in the long run, but don't break yourself trying to be something that you don't need to be, if that makes sense.
Yes, yes. And you know what? A lot of times when I put content out there of my own, I say to myself, I just don't feel like this being 100% perfect. I would put it out there because most of the time when I put it out there, people are like, oh, that was awesome. And I barely even gave it a whole lot of thought. I just actually put my heart out there. That's what they're saying is awesome. So I think a lot of times we can derail ourselves by putting something out that or trying so hard to put something out that is perfect or do things perfectly when other people don't even care. I don't know how many times I put out different types of content that I was just like, it was just so spontaneous and people appreciated it. So after that happened enough times, I said, well, people don't know what's in my head. Like they don't understand what my intention or my expectation of this project was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't have anything to compare it to. So whatever I do, a lot of times is sufficient enough as long as my heart was in it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we could take that philosophy with various areas of our life. Talk a little bit about support system because a great example of this is how, like, let's say you're getting married or you're throwing a birthday party and you feel like you want it to look one way. So this is a great example of perfection. You want it to look one way, but when the event comes, it doesn't happen the way that you envisioned it.
Mm-hmm.
But as I said, your audience doesn't know. They don't know the difference. They don't know what was in your head to begin with. So they don't care. They're just there to have a good time. But a lot of times when we're working on our endeavors, our goals, our dreams, our special projects, or whatever that may be,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times we feel like, man, I just wish that I had a stronger support network because I feel like I'm doing everything all by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about some ways that people can gain support when they're feeling like they're handling too much by themselves and beginning to feel frustrated and overwhelmed?
I definitely think it's important to be vulnerable in certain situations. If you feel overwhelmed, reach out to that person that you know you can help you if you have someone like that. And even most recently, I listened to a webinar that said like the most happy people have at least 5 people in their support system that they can talk to whenever they want. They can go and work out with them. They can go and eat with them. And I think really just building that core group around you to support you will get you the support you need. But even in having those people around you, you have to give the support that you want to receive in return. So
Yes.
no one-sided relationships. You don't want someone coming to you with all their issues and never listening to what your issues are. You want to have a nice balanced relationship with someone that genuinely cares about how you're feeling about things.
Yes, that is so true. I often say that, you know, you can't just take. Like, what are you giving? You know? And I think that the best relationships are those that they're what I call reciprocal relationships. So I'm always looking for people that they have expertise or skill in a certain area that maybe I'm not as strong in, and I make them part of my team. Because to be quite honest, I don't want to do everything. Even if I could do everything, I have a little lazy bone on the side over here that says I don't want to do everything.
Right.
So as many people that I can have in my support system, and we all, you know, we take from each other and give to each other, and we all are there to help lift each other up, the better. I don't want to do everything. You know how you see those super women out there, super moms and all that. That is not my aspiration. That never has been. I'm very much a free spirit. So whenever I can get as many people on my side that I can delegate to, oh yeah, it's a wonderful world for me. And I think that that's key when it comes to self-care, which is our next topic. A lot of times we feel overwhelmed and frustrated because we're not providing ourselves with enough self-care and feeding our spirit. And a part of that is knowing what actually feels meaningful to us, because a lot of times we can be expending so much energy in the day toward, you know, our bosses, our families, our aging parents, our teachers at school, or whomever it is. And we forget that we are significant. And when we're not feeding ourselves, a lot of times we're, you know, feeling like, man, I would work on my dream. I would work on whatever it is, that project that lights me up, but I'm just so exhausted at the end of the day. So can you talk a little bit about maybe some self-care strategies that you've used, and talk a little bit about how people can increase their self-care and how it helps us? How does that actually help us with living our purpose and putting our gifts out there into the world?
Sure. I guess for my own self-care, I have top 3 things that I really get me there, really help me relax and get things done outside of work. The first would be yoga is very important to me. I feel like it calms your mind, it works your body. And every time I leave, I just feel like a new person, basically. Like you just set off all the negativity and you come out and you just feel more positive about the things that you have to do. So that's my definite go-to. The second one is be comfortable with spending time by yourself so you can get into your own mind and really figure out what is it that's affecting me, what is holding me back. It's more important to know yourself than to know anyone else, because if you know yourself, you know who you want to bring in your circle for your support system, and even then you'll know what you need to do to calm yourself down if you're overworked and overstressed and all of that. And my third self-care tip is just take time to just pause. So you might be working through something and you want to see that light at the end of the tunnel. Once you get to that point, take the time to appreciate all that you did to get to that point and really cheer yourself on and stand in your accomplishment, basically. Don't just move on to the next thing. You want to stand in your accomplishment. You did it. You need to appreciate yourself, because if you don't appreciate yourself, who's going to appreciate you?
Yeah.
Just stand in your accomplishments and give yourself time before going on that next journey to do the next great thing that you're about to do. You don't have to be overworking all the time. I never understood how people could just work straight through and not like give themselves pause or anything, you know?
Yeah, and I think that a lot of times when you start to give yourself more self-care and you start treating yourself better and you realize the difference in how you feel when you do versus when you don't, you naturally will bounce back to that because now you have something to compare it to. I've worked with so many ladies that will say things to me like, you know what, I'm so used to being stressed that this is just what I feel like life should be like. And it's not until they start to treat themselves better and go off and do new activities and different things that they hadn't experienced before that they realize how life could be. And a great example of this is like when I travel to other countries, particularly third world countries, and they just get so excited and so happy off of just the littlest thing, the smallest thing. And I come back to the US and I could just see all the stress and bags under people's eyes and cussing each other out over silly stuff. So I think learning how to, be grateful for one, be grateful in everything that's around you, from your tiny little house to your mansion, whatever it is that you have, just being grateful for that and just learning how to spend more time around uplifting people, but then also, as you said, learning how to spend time by yourself and appreciating you by yourself. I think that too often we're so external focused on run, and constantly chasing the carrot that we don't know how to just sit in this moment, and be content with this moment. The fact that we're just breathing. you understand what I mean?
Absolutely.
I think that's probably why you love yoga so much, because yoga is very much about in this moment. What would you say to ladies that they're listening and they're like, you know what, this all sounds well and fine, but I'm just stuck where I am right now. I'm taking care of everybody and a mama, and I really don't have 5 minutes a day to spend to myself. What would you tell those ladies as just like a first step that they could take in order to get a little bit of momentum going?
I would say any path that you're trying to set on or trying to change something in your life, it all begins with how you feel about yourself. So you have to put yourself as a priority in some cases. And that's even when you have a whole family and kids and a job, because even with this interview, I knew I couldn't do certain things, during the week, but I know the time that I have to do positive things like this would be, on the weekend. So I have to set aside that time so that I can do the things that I want to do. You have to do it with an intention that it will reflect back on yourself in a positive manner.
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, just be selfish. Think about yourself for a little bit. Everyone around you definitely needs you, I'm sure, but think about yourself because you need yourself the most.
Yeah, and you don't want to get to the end of your life and you're saying, wow, I took care of everybody else my entire life and I don't know who I am and what I'm about. What are my gifts? What can I really add into this world that's going to provide me with a sense of fulfillment? Because I've heard older people talk about, one or two things. I've always given to everybody and I don't really know who I am. And I really haven't done enough for myself. Or they do just the opposite. They say, yeah, I've spent a life doing what I love and, embracing relationships I love and going places that I love. And I feel really good about how I live my life. And it's like such a joy in those people's eyes compared to the opposite. And we all have a choice. We can all choose to take care of everybody else and their mama and forget about ourselves, or we could do the vice versa. And I always say that life goes on. When people are, asking you for help and you can't give it to them, they'll always find somebody else. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't feel like you need to be there for everybody at all times. There comes a point in time when you need to give to yourself so that you have enough energy to give to everybody else too.
Absolutely.
All of my contact info is going to be in the description box, as well as Erica's for those of you that are listening. So you can feel free to connect with either one of us. Erica, can you just real quickly mention the type of individual that you wouldn't mind collaborating with? There are ladies listening to this from all around the world, all different types of professions and personalities out there that they might want to connect with you in a certain way. Can you just real quickly, just tell us what really attracts you the most to people and the type of person that you would want to collaborate with?
I like very forward-thinking people. I want to surround myself with people with good sense of humors that are very art-focused and are very focused on their communities and giving back to their communities. Because, you know, looking upward for help from someone doesn't always work. So when you're on the ground and you're reaching across to get help from people, I think that's the best way to really build any type of momentum behind anything. So those are the type of people I want to really get to know, and probably the people that I can relate to the best as well.
Yeah, and for any of you that are listening, if you're feeling like, you know, I have a little support system here, but I feel like they're not really on the same page as I am with my next steps in life, or me living out my core life purpose to the best ability that I can, I invite you to connect with me also. And if you are on Facebook or have access to Facebook, I have a Nutrition for Busy Women Facebook group. So you'll see that link in the description box. I invite you to join me. And if you do, you earn a complimentary gift. I am all about people living out who they are supposed to be, and taking action steps that are aligned with who they are. So for some of you listening, you might be saying to yourself, well, you know, I've been very successful in my career of choice, but I don't feel like this is all that there is for me. And I know what my gifts are, I know what my strengths are, and I know what my areas of opportunity are. But how can I put all those together so that I can begin making steps to live a more fulfilling and meaningful life? So I provide free resources on helping you to understand what your true personality type is, your natural gifts and talents, and looking at how you can infuse your experience along with who you are as an individual, and doing it in a way where you feel good about your life. So you'll hear me talk a lot about living a whole and healthy life. In order for us to give our best, we need to treat our bodies with the best respect, right? So I also provide free resources on how to attain a healthier body, because we know that when we're not feeling good, we are not giving our best. So you want as many days as possible where you feel at your best. And one way of doing that is to treat your body with respect. So if you don't have anybody else to connect with, I invite you to join my Nutrition for Busy Women group, or just send me an email and I'll provide those resources free of charge to you as well. Erica, what are some last words of encouragement that you would want to give to ladies? Maybe even talk about maybe a current challenge that you're going through right now so that they can really resonate with you a little bit better. But what is one last thing that you would like for ladies to hear that you feel like maybe we didn't get a chance to talk about today?
I think one of the most important things that I feel like I'm still working on, of course, over the last year is just really putting yourself out there and being vulnerable to everything. There are so many experiences and people that you can meet just by saying hello, or just being vulnerable, talking about your own life, talking about things that are interesting to you. You never know who you'll connect with. So I really would just advise everyone to be as vulnerable as possible. Go out there, talk to people, look them in the face. Like, it doesn't have to be all online. Just put yourself out there. And I think doing that has given me some of the best experiences that I've ever had, at least in the past 2 years. Just focusing on putting myself out there, hands down.
Yeah, and you know, if you don't feel comfortable doing that online, one of the things that I've been working on over the last few weeks actually is making more connections with people in my local community. And one way of doing this, where it's a little easier for you to be vulnerable, is to join meetup groups on specific topics that you have an interest in. Because if you join meetup groups on topics that you have an interest in, you naturally will form conversation quicker because you're interested in that topic, right? Sometimes it's a little bit more, you know, more challenging to be vulnerable with someone that you're looking at the person like, we don't have anything in common. They're like there's no connection, you know? So joining meetup groups or communities of individuals where we have some type of commonality. So if you're a mom of a toddler, for example, then join a group of moms with toddlers. If you're a college student that, feeling like, oh my God, I'm about to pull my hair out because I have terrible study habits, well, then join a group for college kids that have terrible study habits. If you're somebody that feels like, oh my God, I've always been the weird one out, I've always been kind of goth, for example, I love wearing my black hair and all. Well, then join a group of goth people. I think that joining, communities of people that are very much like you, conversation flows a little easier. So it is easier to be vulnerable in those types of communities than just going out to some random stranger that you're looking at them like, we don't have anything in common. A lot of times you do have a lot in common, but you don't see it as quickly as if you join groups of people that have an apparent similar interest as you.
Right.
Thank you so much, Erica. I appreciate you. And as I said, any of you that would love to join me in my community, I am all about encouraging people, providing all the support that you need in order to live your dreams. I am passionate about this topic. So if you don't have anybody else that can help support you, I am there for you. And I encourage you guys to listen and share this content out with others that may benefit, because a lot of times we may feel like, oh, we know all this, but maybe your friends and family don't know all this. So share this content out with someone that you feel that could benefit from it. And if you would like to share your experiences, share your challenges, share your stories, connect with me, and I would love to feature you in one of our upcoming episodes. So Erica, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And all of you listening, no matter where you are in the world, always remember to live a life full of meaning and purpose. I will talk to you soon.